Just what you needed. Another podcast. Hi there. My name is Mike Bankhead. I am a bass player and songwriter from Dayton, Ohio. Welcome to my brand new podcast. This is episode 0. Are you wondering what the podcast is called? Well, the name of this podcast happens to be the You Could Be My Aramis podcast. And since it's brand new, there are no guests for this episode. I'd like to answer 3 questions today. Why did I choose the name for this podcast? How did that come about? Why did I bother to start a podcast? And what will it be about? First, the name, You Could Be My Aramis, comes from a song lyric, a song called Carry On, which you heard in the intro. And that can be found on my 2017 album, Echo in the Crevices. If you would like to listen to that song or that album, you can find them on my website, mikebankheadmusic.com or mikebankhead.com, over on the music page. You can also listen to Carry On and the album that it comes from on every streaming service known to humanity. You'll find it on Bandcamp, on Deezer, on Spotify, on YouTube, on iTunes, on Amazon, on Tidal, wherever. Also YouTube. Did I say YouTube? So that's the name of the podcast. I should also mention that's the name of my publishing company and the LLC I created to handle my music business. You Could Be My Aramis Music LLC. Second question, why am I starting a podcast? Well, full disclosure, my original intent was to market to you, or to market myself and my music to you. I read a suggestion from an artist consultant and marketing expert named Michael Stover. He is tastefully named, by the way. And on Twitter, he goes by the handle @BigStow. And he mentioned that if we're working on a piece of music and we have collaborators, it would be a good idea to record a podcast interview with the collaborators as a way to promote that music. So this idea started because I have a single called Hold the Wick that will be released soon. And I commissioned a handful of artists, well, more than a handful because there's more than 5. I commissioned artists to do remixes of that song in their own unique genres. And I was going to interview each artist about their approach to making music and their approach to the remix. And then as I got to thinking about the idea, I realized that, well, I enjoy talking to people about things that we have mutual interest in. And I enjoy listening to podcasts when people talk about things they had mutual interest in. And maybe I should do more than just an 8-episode podcast where I'm trying to sell a single, right? Let's discuss. Let's get to know each other. Especially when you're a musician, you're trying to make emotional connections with people. In order to do that, you're going to have to get to know me a little bit more. So the podcast idea started smaller, and now, I just want to have good conversations. So the last question, what are we going to talk about? Well, I'm a musician, so I'll talk about music on this podcast. But I like art and artists, and I want to talk to artists of all sorts. I love sports. I'm going to talk about sports on this podcast. I like cooking and food. I'm going to talk about food on this podcast. I enjoy travel. I'm going to talk about travel on this podcast. Essentially, anything goes as long as it's something that I have an interest in and I can find a guest who has that same interest and we can have a friendly, personal discussion. Thank you for being here. I hope you come back and enjoy the You Could Be My Aramis podcast. Oh, and here's a postscript. The next episode, episode 1, is an interview with very talented Canadian songwriter and artist, Baby Molly. I invite you back for that one. Once again, the name of the podcast is